Caitlin Clark. Look, now you got 3 players in double figures. You got Howard, you got...
What began as pure euphoria in TD Garden quickly devolved into a gutter-inching silence. Indiana Fever had just secured their 3rd consecutive victory, defeating the Connecticut Sun 85-77 in what should have been a celebration of resilience, teamwork, and redemption. The crowd, overwhelmingly in support of the Fever, despite being in Boston, echoed chants of "Let's go Fever" as if TD Garden itself had relocated to Indianapolis. The energy was electric, the narrative clear. The Fever were surging. Caitlin Clark was thriving, and for a moment it felt like nothing could stop this team's momentum. But in an instant, that dream unraveled. Caitlin Clark, the undisputed face of this Fever renaissance, suddenly stopped mid-play. Her body stiffened, her face contorted, and she clutched her right groin before collapsing in visible pain. The moment was devastating. This wasn't just another bump or bruise. This was the same type of groin injury that had sidelined her earlier in the season. And the look on her face said it all. This wasn't just physical pain. This was emotional devastation.
Clark reminded everybody who she is in the Fever win over the Wings in what was a blowout victory. One where Clark didn't even shoot the ball well.
A kind of breakdown only an athlete who's carried an entire league on her back could understand. As she walked to the bench, she hit her head on the basket stanchion in frustration, tears flowing freely, something rarely seen from the typically stoic Clark. She wasn't just hurting, she was broken. Cameras captured it all. Her tears, the tense silence of the bench, the sudden transformation of the arena from jubilation to dread. Clark had already missed 5 games this season due to a left groin strain. Now, the right side was flaring up. This wasn't just a fluke, it was a pattern shaped by a season-long refusal by WNBA referees to protect the league's most marketable player. Stephanie White, Fever's head coach, had warned about this. She knew the physicality Clark was enduring was unsustainable.
Josh Hart should have flamed her. He should have sent her into the abyss. 11-0. Let's be honest.
She had seen it from the other side once, as an opposing coach, and now as Clark's own. And in this postgame moment, she didn't mince words. When asked about Clark's injury, White's face said more than her cautious answer. Just felt a little something in her groin, she told reporters, but everyone knew what that really meant. What she didn't say out loud echoed louder than anything she could have put into words. That Clark had been hunted, beaten down, and targeted game after game, and the referees had allowed it to happen. This wasn't an isolated incident. This was the culmination of months of unchecked aggression, and the league's silence was deafening. To understand how we got here, you have to rewind. June 17th. That was the date everything shifted. That was the game where Caitlin Clark was no longer just a player, she became a target. During that matchup against these same Connecticut Sun players, Clark was poked in the eye by J.C. Sheldon and body-checked by Marina Mabrey. The hits weren't subtle, they were jarring, and they were deliberate. Mabrey's bump sent Clark stumbling. Sheldon's eye poke left Clark clearly shaken, and the league did next to nothing. Sophie Cunningham had Clark's back that night, committing a hard foul on Sheldon in retaliation, a bear hug to the ground.
So we need to be completely honest about AJ Wilson here, because these are some of the dumbest, conversations ever in sport.
Meant to send a message. And it did. The Fever weren't going to let their star be abused without consequence. But Cunningham's move was also a direct response to the league's failure. Players were forced to take protection into their own hands because the referees simply weren't doing their job. Fast forward to this rematch in Boston, and the tension was palpable. Everyone in the building knew this wasn't just a regular season game. This was personal. From the opening tip, there was an edge to every screen, a sharpness to every movement. Players exchanged glares. Every bump after the whistle, every elbow in transition, it all carried history. Clark played with ferocity. Her drives were aggressive. Her passes sliced through defenders like scalpels. It was a statement game for her, and she was delivering until her body said enough. What made this injury all the more infuriating was the officiating, or rather, the complete lack of it. Throughout the game, referees missed call after call. Caitlin Clark was being hacked, hand-checked, shoved, elbowed, and slammed without a whistle in sight. One moment in particular stood out. Tina Charles smacked Alia Boston in the face and then tossed her to the floor. What should have been an obvious flagrant foul was called a simple common foul.
The Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that
the crowd couldn't believe it. Commentators were stunned, and Fever players just shook their heads. They'd seen this movie before. Even more outrageous was what happened to Cunningham. She took a vicious elbow to the back of the head. No foul, not even a warning. When she later tweeted the footage herself, she captioned it sarcastically. "They said I flopped. LOL." The level of disrespect was staggering. Fever players weren't just competing, they were enduring. And that's not basketball. Caitlin Clark's breaking point came during a heated exchange with referee Mike Price. The cameras caught it all. Clark, visibly emotional, confronted Price over yet another missed call. Whatever he said back clearly cut deep. Clark's expression shifted, her voice cracked, and it was obvious she was done playing nice. This wasn't just about a bad whistle. This was about months of pent-up frustration erupting at once. Her brother, Colin Clark, took to social media right after the game, tweeting, "Make no mistake, this is on the refereeing." It was a line that resonated deeply with fans who had watched Clark suffer week after week without justice. It wasn't just fans who noticed, it was family. And when even those closest to the players start calling out the league, it means the problem has boiled over. Then came the most powerful voice of all. Stephanie White. During her post-game interview,
Clark reminded everybody who she is in the Fever win over the Wings in what was a blowout victory, one where Clark didn't even shoot the ball well.
When asked about the level of physicality Clark was facing, she paused. Her face hardened. Then she dropped the truth. "Are you trying to get me fined again?" she asked, her voice laced with exasperation. But she didn't stop there. She admitted what everyone else had been too afraid to say. There's a level of physicality they're allowed to play with against her. "I knew it as an opponent. I see it as her coach." She wasn't just frustrated, she was defeated. White went on to say she didn't understand why Clark was being targeted to this extent, but she knew it had to stop. "We've got to find some ways to make it easier for her," she said. "The level of physicality in our league has been at a different level than it's been for a long time." That wasn't just a coaching observation. That was a call for help, a warning, and a plea. And that's what makes this situation so tragic. The WNBA has, in Caitlin Clark, a generational talent. Someone who has boosted ratings, filled arenas, and brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball. She's done everything asked of her and more. Yet the league has failed her, failed to protect her, failed to ensure that her brilliance could shine without being constantly snuffed out by cheap shots and lazy officiating. Now, with the All-Star game days away, Clark's status is up in the air. She was supposed to captain her team. She was supposed to compete in the three-point contest in front of her home crowd in Indianapolis. But that dream might be gone now, all because the referees refused to call a fair game. What should have been a showcase has become a cautionary tale. This isn't just about one injury, it's about a pattern, a systemic failure that's endangering the very stars the WNBA claims to celebrate. And if it continues, the consequences will be catastrophic not just for Caitlin Clark, but for the league's credibility, its fans.
I do think that she's a bit delusional here, and also like maybe the slightest bit disrespectful because I don't know.
And its future. The Fever walked away with the win. But what did they really gain? They lost they lost the momentum they had built, and they lost faith that the league would ever take action. Clark's tears on the bench weren't just about pain. They were about betrayal, about realizing that even when you carry the sport on your back, no one's going to carry you. If the WNBA wants to be taken seriously, it starts with protecting its players, especially the ones driving its growth. Otherwise, nights like this one will keep happening, and eventually, even the brightest stars will dim. Do you think the referees are intentionally ignoring fouls on Caitlin Clark? Should the WNBA take action before another injury happens? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one.